These people all supported this, and the only reason they oppose it now is because, frankly, their far left has demanded that they not give an inch, and that's why we're in a shutdown. They've been demanded they don't give an inch, otherwise they're going to lose their primaries. So that's where we're at right now.
And we're seeing different things as far as the shutdown goes. The most famous congressional representative working today had tweeted out that a furloughed office worker had come in to visit in the office, work for housing and urban development. Families hurting, 3 weeks without a paycheck. Turns out nobody's missed one yet.
Right. Yeah, that's right. They don't miss one for, I think it depends, varies by department, and they are going to get paid. I mean, once this ends, we always go back and make sure they get paid, that they were, even the people that were furloughed will end up getting paid for their furlough time, so they end up being made whole. But there is no doubt, people that live paycheck to paycheck, which is a significant part of the American public, are going to hurt in this, and they'll end up having to either put things on credit card or, take short-term loans. And I think government shutdowns are the stupidest things ever, and whoever invented them is dumb. And, we used to call them lapse in appropriations because it wasn't a big deal, and now we've turned them into this big deal, and we use them as weapons. But that said, I think now to turn around and just to give in to the Democrats' demand that there is no border security would be ludicrous. They have to, I think it's going to be a compromise solution. I think everybody wants a compromise, but that's going to include some form of the wall. And until they get that straight, they're hurting these government workers and the American public, they being the Democrats.
How long does this go on? How long do you, I know you don't have a crystal ball for this sort of thing, but do you see this extending for months and months?
Actually, this is the third government shutdown I've been part of. 2 were total government shutdowns. This is partial. This has a different feeling. There's not as much pressure because it's only part of the government. I think people understand what this fight is over. I actually think this one could go on maybe even another month or 2, which would be awful. But that's probably not the case because there'll be some big pressure points. But it really comes down to the Democrats. And does Ocasio-Cortez rally the left base to say no compromise, or do like Lindsey Graham said, we'll give us the money for the wall and border security. We'll give you DACA, maybe some other compromises that we've all voted for. Let's just fix this stupid stuff. Get past it and focus on other things that we're always going to have divide us, and not sit on immigration when it's so easy to fix.
That's an excellent way of looking at it as well. I know one of the things that you have a disagreement with the president on, and I followed your tweets, and you and I have talked about this before, is Syria.
Yeah.
President says we're out. You do not agree with this course of action.
No, I think this would be a massive mistake. In fact, I met with the president. This may be breaking news, but about 2-3 weeks ago, I guess, I met with him for a couple hours in the Oval Office, and it was a respectful conversation. We both respect each other, and, he likes people that, frankly, tell him the truth and aren't pushovers, and I'm not. And, look, I as a guy that, frankly, knows quite a bit about foreign policy, that's been over in that part of the world, the president has to understand sometimes that some other people know some things, too, and every one of his foreign policy advisors is saying to leave Syria would be to hand that region over to Iran, would be to give ISIS a massive boost, and would be the exact mistake that President Obama made. I mean, it's Obama, which I gave Trump a lot of credit for calling him out for having done. It would be that mistake again. So I'm encouraged that there are signs of this slowing down. I think people have convinced the president of the foolishness of just leaving Syria just to follow some campaign promise that really people aren't demanding happen. And I think he's slowing it down. He won't admit it, and that's fine. But I think there's been a little bit of a change in strategy.
And that's the other thing, because, all these resignations that followed this announcement, the Secretary of Defense saying that he was out. He didn't necessarily tie it in, but it certainly came at the time that one would think it was tied in.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that that's why Mattis quit. And I think it's as much not just a disagreement in the policy. I think if you're on a president's cabinet, you understand that there's going to be, the president's the final decision-making authority. But I think the other part was he felt that, none of them even knew. The president never even called and said, hey, this is what I'm doing. Hey, what do you think? Okay, well, I disagree with you, therefore, but I'm making the final decision. It just happened. And I think that's where really got with Mattis is this idea that the president has a cabinet of knowledgeable people around him that know the depth and details of these things, and didn't listen to them. I'll be honest, and I'll take whatever heat comes. I was very disappointed in the president's decision, and I was very disappointed in his implication that we're going to pull the troops out of Afghanistan, not because he doesn't have a right to do that, but because the second he signals that he's leaving Afghanistan, he emboldens the enemy. This is as much a psychological fight against the enemy as it is a real fight. I mean, fighting terrorists is not a choice we have. That we're going to fight terrorists, period. The question is, where do we fight them? Do we fight them in Afghanistan or back home? So, there's a lot I appreciate the president's doing, but my job to the 700,000 people I represent is to be honest when I don't, and this Syria thing was a big mess, and I hope and I'm encouraged that it looks like he's reconsidering.
And before we let you go, let's bring it back home for a second. How about the 312,000 new jobs added in December, the unemployment rate, the wages, the economy? Thoughts?
Yeah, it's fantastic. At a time when the Democrats were saying, "Oh, look, the stock market," the stock market, and you really get the feeling that they're cheering for economic collapse. To be honest with you, you see that the economy grew. The Chinese economy is in bad shape. We don't want to see that collapse. It's bad for everybody, but we're in a good position to get some deals out of a trade negotiation with them. Are there some concerns in the economy? Sure, but not like there aren't ever. There always are. This is a great time to be in America. We're making America great again, and we've got some challenges, but now our challenge is getting enough people to do jobs, not getting enough jobs to cover people. It's much better than under President Obama.
That's a much better problem to have, absolutely. Yeah. Congressman, as always, thanks for carving some time out of a busy day. We really appreciate it. Look forward to the next time we can get together.
Yeah, anytime. I love it. Take care.